Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, the Washington Post reporters who originally broke the story. In June, after the burglars had been caught and the Nixon administration had denied the break-in, these two reporters were the only two people curious enough to look around, although their articles were immensely unpopular. When the nation overwhelmingly supported Nixon, the two kept writing, despite threats to their lives and business. Eventually, their work was enough to get federal judges and eventually Congress curious. They stand for the idea of freedom of the press and how important it is for democracy, and therefore they and their contribution deserve to be honored. Lawrence Hogan, the only Republican senator to vote for all three articles of impeachment that Nixon was tried for. These were abuse of power, contempt of Congress, and obstruction of justice. His contribution is unique because he was a Republican, which was Nixon's party, and remarkably conservative even for that. However, he did not let party loyalty blind him to the evidence, and did what was right according to his own conscience. It is important to put him on the Watergate monument because he demonstrated that it is possible to be just, even in times of darkness. Elliot Richardson, Nixon's Attorney General. He may not have had a large role in the uncovering of the scandal, but when he refused to fire Archibald Cox in the Saturday Night Massacre, he proved that there were still noble and dignified people left in the U.S., and that the United States would not descend into anarchy as long as there were such people who would protect their fellow citizens. Richardson's own honor and selflessness merits him a place on the Watergate monument and in the minds of his countrymen and women. Archibald Cox, the special prosecutor for Watergate, he demanded the tapes that would supposedly prove Nixon's guilt, despite Nixon's threat to fire him, which he would eventually make good on. Cox, during his short tenure as special prosecutor, showed the importance of not taking injustice lying down and always speaking up, no matter how powerful the foe. Although Nixon did have him fired, Cox helped prove Nixon's guilt, which would eventually make the president resign. Cox should have a spot on the Watergate monument because he proved that you should still keep fighting, even though it may seem like you've lost already. CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President. This nefarious organization paid burglars money to break into the Watergate Hotel, which was the location of the Democratic National Convention of 1972. They assisted Nixon in the cover-up of the scandal with their related agencies like the Plumbers. Agents from CREEP will not be on the Watergate monument because, although they had a huge role in the scandal, it was only because of their immoral actions, so they don't deserve to be honored. Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States. He is the only president to have resigned office until now. His crime was not in the burglary itself, but in its cover-up. He tried to hide the tapes that would prove his involvement time and time again. He had Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox fired, and he caused Attorney General Richardson and Deputy Attorney General Ruckelshaus to resign. His deeds soiled the office of the presidency and brought dishonor to the United States of America. Although he was the infamous person in charge of the scandal, he proved himself to be a crook, and crooks should never be distinguished with a monument. John Dean, a senior White House aide who did too little, far too late. He was one of the first people to provide concrete evidence that the White House was lying to the people about its involvement in the scandal. However, he only did this when it was clear that he would lose his job anyway. If Dean had spoken out earlier, he could have prevented the ensuing years of chaos and disruption as more and more of the Watergate scandal was painfully revealed. The CIA, used by Nixon to cover up his crimes. The CIA was not presented in this skit, mainly because most of their work was backstage. They impeded the FBI's investigation of Watergate, under Nixon's instruction. The CIA did not have a huge role in the scandal. However, as one of the most important law and jurisdiction agencies in the United States, the CIA should have thought about what Nixon was asking them to do before they actually did it. Because of their blind compliance, the CIA does not deserve a spot on the Watergate monument.